It's that time again, Phil. It's time to welcome everyone to another episode of Half Baked. That's the
everyone. There's just you.
No, there's
everyone.
There's everyone. I invited them, and they're all here. It's amazing. Half Baked is the podcast where two fully grown Northerners argue. Basically.
And that's there's a couple of things I want to argue about with that, Alistair.
What's wrong?
For start off, I'm not certain it's just about arguing. I think it's getting to it's more of a discussion than an argument.
Okay.
But the main thing is the fully grown. Why are we not just grown? Why are we fully grown?
Fully grown.
That kind of says that there's no further ability for us to go beyond what we are.
Yeah.
And it kind of limits us in several ways, I feel.
Okay. It also suggests that we made it to, like, you know, respectively 5'9" and 5'6". We didn't like
it's 5'6".
We didn't like peter out at 4'2".
I'm 5'8". I'll have you know.
Oh,
okay. And even higher heels.
Okay. So, well, welcome to Half Baked, the podcast where two grown Northerners discuss. You see, I don't, you know, I think people like arguments. People like drama, right? So, you know.
They do like drama.
We've already argued twice. That's great. Everyone is going to love that. Half Baked is all about one of us presenting an idea, which is half baked. And we're going to debate it, and we're going to decide ultimately whether it should be fully baked or not. Some of these ideas are going to be serious. Some are going to be frivolous. As one of my networking pals says, the word frivolous. But it's all really about seeing where we get to. Anyway, Bill.
Ali.
Where are you? What are you wearing?
You have your own particular little style for what you're wearing, don't you, Alistair? What are you wearing?
I'm still.
Which I can't do. I love it.
I'm still in character. You're obviously wearing high heels if you're not 5'6". What else?
That's right. I'm here in my studio, which is otherwise known as a guest room, in my house, and in Silicon Valley, just outside Silicon Valley, and in Northern California. And as usual, I'm quite boringly wearing Hugo Boss. In fact, I just realised that I could have been part of the SS because I'm so happy wearing German clothing. Yeah. But before we go on for that, I think it's only wise for me to say, Alistair, what are you wearing?
Yeah, well, you will have...
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm in I'm in Yorkshire. I'm in West Yorkshire, which is a county in England, for the sake of everyone who, you know, might not know that. I'm wearing... The keen of eye will notice that I'm no longer wearing a spacesuit, and that's because it's the end of February. It's getting slightly warmer in West Yorkshire. So, yeah, I'm just wearing... it's Saturday night. I've got a glass of wine on the go, Rioja, obviously, and I'm just going to, you know, probably chill out for the rest of the night. So I'm just wearing sloppy clothing.
There was a song which plays into what we're about to talk about, which was Saturday Night. What was that song? It was particularly irritating with a girl singing. Do you remember that one?
Saturday Night.
Oh, there you go. The clue is in the name.
But that...
I might need to sing about that later. But anyway, let's move on to... Let's ignore that, taking us down that pathway, and let's talk about the subject that we're really talking about today.
Let's kind of ignore that, right? But let's also segue seamlessly into today's half-baked topic. And this is one of mine. It's one of my theories. And the theory is there's no such thing as a bad song. Now, there is
It's really quite half-baked, Alistair, I've got to say.
Well, you know, that's the podcast. I'm not going to bring anything which is more than half-baked. It's 51% baked. It's like, it's not happening. I guess there should be some kind of warning on the next 20 minutes so of podcasting, because if you are someone who is likely to succumb to an earworm, you're probably going to hate this. because we are going to be talking about terrible songs. And I think one of the things that could be argued to make a song bad is its catchiness. But we'll get into that during the course of the podcast, because actually what we're here to debate is there's no such thing as a bad song. And I'm going to kind of kick that off by saying that in doing some research for this episode, I Googled the world's worst songs. And I'm going to throw some of those out there. But I suspect...
You've done some quite in-depth research then, Alistair.
I've literally... I think they'd call it desktop research. You know, I didn't stop people in the street any more than I normally do. So I used something called Google, and that gave me the following list of terrible songs. And my treatise is that there will be people out there, everyone, who will go, hang on a minute, that's a great song. I love that song. It takes me back to times of yore. Is someone at your door, Phil?
No, that was a reminder that we're about to do a half-baked session coming up on my calendar.
How useful. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, that's
thanks for that reminder. So here we go. I'm gonna throw some out here. So
before you start that, Alistair, one thing that occurs to me is I think a lot of us agree on what terrible songs are. I think the list you're about to read out, like before we started the recording, you mentioned a couple, and I thought, yeah, that's a terrible song. Yeah, that's a terrible song. That's a terrible song. There was no argument from me about how terrible those songs were. But it's interesting. One of the ones you mentioned that one of the groups that wrote it didn't like. I really like it. So yeah, let's go through. Let's go through your list and see where we get to.
That's an interesting point. That's perfect half-baked fodder. The point that you make, albeit someone wrote these songs in the first place. So there has been a time during the creative process where someone's gone. For example, within the group Starship, "We Built This City on Rock and Roll" is a great song. Like during the recording of that 4 minutes, and during all the weeks of getting ready for it and practicing it, people within that group, and presumably their producers, have thought, "We Built This City on Rock and Roll" is a great song. It's
and actually it played out that it was, because a lot of people bought it. Right. Otherwise, we would not have heard that song. A lot of people bought that song. It went into the charts.
It topped the charts, I believe, in, I don't know, let me think, about 1985.
In the US or in both, do we know?
I don't know. I mean, starships are pretty big things that can fly around. Probably the universe, the US and the UK. Subjectively rather, a bad song. Number 2, "Achy Breaky Heart," or "Achy Breaky Heart."
The first one you mentioned was number 1 on Google's list.
Yeah.
Is this a countdown though? Is that the 10th worst song, and we're getting this is about to have the 9th and the 8th and the 7th going down to the number 1 worst song ever?
No.
Or was that actually the number 1 worst song?
That was, this is actually a count up. That wasn't the worst song ever.
I feel as though now that's going to be anticlimax, because you don't say, here's the winner, and then who's the runner up, and you go the other way, Alistair.
It's too late.
So maybe you should go the other way. Can you turn your list upside down?
It's too late to do that. And the beauty of this list is everyone that we get to, people are going to go, "Oh my God, that's terrible." For example,
all right, you're gonna have to step back a little bit. So what was number 2?
"Achy Breaky Heart," aka "Achy Breaky Heart." Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah, that's
1992. Rubbish. Number 3.
Yeah.
"Everybody Have Fun Tonight," Wang Chung.
I don't know if I know that. Can you hum or sing or
we're going to get to
dance a little?
We're going to get to that one a little bit later on, because it comes up in bad lyrics as well. We've got a song that you will know, Phil, and I believe you own on every format. "Ice Ice Baby" by Vanilla Ice.
Oh, that's interesting. That wouldn't be. I'm not saying it's in my favourite list of songs ever, but it wouldn't be on my worst list of songs ever. I think not that I've compiled one, but I'm pretty certain it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't even register. It would be a nothing song rather than a terrible song.
And okay, I reckon people will agree with you, but I think what makes songs make this list is a number of different things. I think up-tempo songs people tend to dislike. I think catchy songs people tend to dislike. I think how ubiquitous a song is people tend to dislike. Now, when Ice Ice Baby came out, it was just everywhere. It was impossible to ignore it, wasn't it? It was impossible to ignore it. And I suspect that after a while, apart from the fact that it just sampled so heavily, so there was no real creative endeavour in it, you couldn't get away from it back in, let me think, about 1990 when it came out. So I think those three things, catchiness, up-tempo stroke, happy songs, ubiquity, are things that seem to make people vote for really, really bad songs.
I used to be a stripper in a go-go bar on your list?
Okay, it's not, but I think the song that you're referring to is I was a male stripper in a go-go bar.
That's right. What did I say?
I used to be a stripper in a go-go bar, which I think is the the fourth chapter in your autobiography, rather than a song by Man to Man Meets Man Parish, which I had at my wedding, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. Filled the floor.
I think I would have liked to have been a stripper in a go-go bar, to have all the relative appendages to allow you to be that person. That would be my dream come true.
So just define appendage for me. I mean, keeping it roughly within a 15 certificate podcast.
You have to like that, Alistair. It's six pack of abs, or whatever it's called. I don't even know what it's called. Therefore, I aspire to it, but don't even know how to refer to it. But that's not happening.
Right. Okay. So is a six-pack an appendage? I mean, it's probably appendage if you're carrying one from the off-license home. Is it an appendage?
Yeah, the appendage was probably the wrong word, because the appendage was really a reference to penis, whereas that's more of maybe attributes. Attributes was the word I should have used.
So I love Man to Man Meets Man Parish. I was a male stripper in a go-go bar. What made you bring that one out? You seem, presumably, because you hate it.
Well, in some ways, I love it, but it's also just a ridiculous. It's kind of a ridiculous song, like the Chicken song,
right? Yeah,
it's
another. So the novelty song, right, is another genre that makes songs feature high. So Mr. Blobby is always on this list. The Chicken song is on this list. And,
oh, really?
Yeah,
they're on that list.
And there's something there about just a complete lack of creative. Well, okay, I've just realised what it is. It's the relationship between a complete lack of creative endeavour and the popularity of the song, right? Where they are completely inversely proportionate, you're going to end up hating the song, because there's part of you that goes, why are people buying this in the millions? It's just someone going, blobby, blobby, blobby. Do you know what I mean? So there's something in that kind of pushback, isn't there?
Yeah,
maybe.
It's just such nonsense. Anyway, keep going down your list.
It is such nonsense. What else have we got? Ebony and Ivory by, apparently Stevie Wonder. So I guess he wrote it.
I'm amazed that that's on the list.
Why?
Like, that's also not. It's not terrible. It's not. I don't really, really love it, but it wouldn't be on my list. It wouldn't even feature. That's like putting "Hello, is it me you're looking for" on the list. I mean, it's why is it? Why Ebony and Ivory? They go together in perfect harmony.
Maybe the list was compiled by racists. No, maybe it's some kind of EDL pushback on, or maybe people just like hate racists who hate pianos, right? It's like, I hate pianos and the thought that black and white people are going to get on. So it's just like it's a perfect storm. So I'm not buying it, and I'm going to vote against it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not a racist, so I'm not anymore. So I don't know. So yeah, that there are other songs on that list. Don't worry, be happy. Oh,
don't worry, be happy. Yeah. Again, I don't hate, but this is not songs we hate. This is the worst songs of all time. Okay,
this is the worst.
No, again,
exactly.
It wouldn't get on my list of worst.
No,
surely there's worse songs than that.
Even though Bobby McFerrin can't be bothered to write any more lyrics for the song, and just ends up going do 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 do. I mean, it's just like it's laziness, isn't it? I think that's irritating. So I think another theme here. So what themes have we got? So what makes a bad song? It's ubiquity. It's up tempo. There's a relationship between a lack of creative endeavor and its popularity. I wonder if also people don't like being told by a song how they should feel. Yeah? Don't worry, be happy. You know what, Bobby? I want to worry. The cost of living is going through the roof. People are on the streets. Things in Ukraine are looking pretty grim. Don't tell me that I should just not worry about all of that and be happy about it through the vehicle of a song that you couldn't even be bothered to finish the lyrics on. So I think there's something about don't tell me how to feel. Shiny Happy People makes the list a lot of the time. And in fact, Shiny Happy People it's not only on the list. It was one of these songs which was disowned by the band. Michael Stipe said, "This is," before he played it at a gig, "This is one of the dumbest songs we ever wrote." And then they went in and played it.
Oh, but they still played it.
Yeah.
Oh, so he didn't completely discard it.
No.
He still went with it.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, it is terrible.
It is
terrible. I'm not a songwriter. I have no talent in that area whatsoever, as in many things. But it seems to me it must be difficult figuring out if what you're writing or playing is dross or a jewel in the crown. Unless you're just one of these songs. I was actually talking to my wife about bad songs, and she was saying bad songs are things where they go, ah, ah, ah. I don't actually know the name of those songs or that genre, where it's just like people screaming and there's no discernible melody. But I can imagine those people know that what they're doing is total and utter fucking dross. But for most artists, I can see that they can't tell until they get to step back away from it and look at it in a different light.
Oh, okay. So that genre is called screamo, obviously.
It has a genre, actually. That's amazing, and it's very the clue is in the name, I guess.
Yeah, it's.
Did you just make that up? Is that a real thing?
Yeah. Screamo. It's basically as my mate Mark once described it. It's young people pretending to be angry, which is just a beautiful condescension. I mean, your wife, as much as I love Anita, is wrong. You know, that isn't. You know, they're not bad songs. She just doesn't like them.
And so many things. Carry on. Yep.
She just doesn't like them. But people, buy screamo. I don't know if they still do, but they did, didn't they? 10 years ago, or so they did. So if the creative process for me works like this, you create something, and when you're in that creative moment, you think you're creating something brilliant, right? There's this kind of veil of objective blindness that comes over you a lot of the time, and you tend to think the last thing that you created is the best thing you ever did. Tears for Fears have just released a new album, Ridiculous. Well, within the last year or so, they're like, oh, it's some of the best stuff we. No, it's not, lads. No, it's not. Go back to Bath, lock your door, and put the kettle on, because it's terrible. The best thing you ever made was 40 odd years ago, right?
And even then, it wasn't very good, in my opinion.
Okay, in your opinion, people would disagree. They don't feature on the list. So an example of that, I think, is Obla Di Obla Da, which I don't know who wrote it, but famously was...
I think it's the Beatles, Alistair.
They covered it, didn't they? I think it was actually...
Catch up on your general knowledge before your next podcast, please. So, I mean, that's... most people will be able to tell you that's the Beatles.
It was originally written by Mr. Blobby. It was covered by the Beatles in 1966. Famously hated by George and John. So you've got kind of some kind of schismic song there that is pretty rubbish. A little bit sweary if pronounced the wrong way. I don't know what it's about. And two members of the band just went, you know what? This is dog dirt. I'm going to have nothing to do with it.
You don't. When you say you don't know what it's about, what do you mean you don't know what it's about?
I don't understand the words Obla Di Obla Da.
Oh, I'd never even thought about it in any depth, which is true of most things. But I just thought it was a quaint thing to say. Like, Obla Di Obla Da, life goes on. Yeah, but the Beatles have a lot. They experimented a lot of different styles, right? And they've come up with. There's a lot of stuff that they put on vinyl, which was pretty crap. But they just tried it out, and you just got to ignore some of it. But I think that's quite a nice song. I'm surprised that the Beatles took a version to that specific song.
What do you make of the Smiths, Phil? Do you like the Smiths? Do you hate them?
Big fan. In fact, over here I have a record player, and I've got every single and every album the Smiths ever produced. But interestingly, I was thinking about this the other day. I've only got one album by a member of their group after they broke up. I've got that's not strict. Yeah, I've got one album by Morrissey and a few of the singles that were attached to that album, and then nothing since then. And I never bought. And even though I really loved the Smiths, I didn't continue following Morrissey. I didn't buy anything ever that Johnny Marr ever did afterwards.
Huh.
And I've got a similar thing. I was thinking about this. There's a similar thing with other groups, like Suzanne Vega. Her first album, I loved it, but I didn't buy any records from her after that. I love Rage Against the Machine's album. I forget the name of it. Might be called Rage Against the Machine. I haven't bought any other of their records. There's so many situations there where I've gone over the top maybe about one particular group or album, but then never explored anything else that they've ever done. But anyway, we could take it back to the Smiths. Yeah. Yes, big fan. Got everything they ever did.
Yeah, and so in your record collection, within that, you're going to have an album called "The Queen Is Dead," aren't you? Which is
magnificent. And I sometimes just get out to look at it. It's like freaking Monet. It doesn't look anything like a Monet, but it's that kind of. It's such a exquisite album, cover to touch and feel, even, and then listen to.
Yeah, I mean, if Monet ever went to Salford, that's probably what he would have come up with. Right. You're absolutely right. It is venerated as one of the greatest albums ever written. It's always a 10 out of 10 album.
Masterpiece.
Absolute masterpiece. We could wax lyrical about each and every song on there, apart from one. Because hiding in amongst
I know which one.
All of that
I know which one.
Beauty and groundbreaking musicality and lyrical brilliance is, frankly, Mr. Shankly.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
It's rubbish.
And you kind of put up with it because it's like when your wife does something irritating, you kind of put up with it because everything else is good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, think about it. There's still loads of things that are wrong, so maybe I should get divorced. But on Frankly, I have thought one of the beauties of record is you can make a scratch on the thing, so the needle goes straight from "The Queen Is Dead" to "I Know It's Over."
That's a great idea.
And I might do that.
Yeah. Or on a tape player, just press fast forward, and you get effectively the same result.
You have to be involved though. Whereas if it just went skipped straight over it, that would be better.
So I think that, frankly, Mr. Shankly, right, is never going to make people's lists of, bad songs, objectively bad songs, because it's kind of it's hiding in plain sight, isn't it? It's there. It's on one of the greatest albums of all time, and people will scratch it, fast forward it, skip it, whatever they want to do. But it's rubbish. What were they thinking of?
But similarly with the Beatles' White Album, right? People venerate that as a masterpiece. That's got some terrible songs on it. And I think you were saying earlier about, which is a slightly different concept. You were saying earlier, when people are creating, they think what they've done is great. I'm not convinced. I think when people do things, they think, I'll give this a go. I'm not certain whether this is good or not, but I'll do it. And then I'll go away and I'll come back to it in a bit and I'll figure out whether this is good or not. And then with Frankly Mr. Shankly, they should have come back and gone, no, this is rubbish, let's throw it away. Yeah. And some of the songs on the album, the mistake they made is they not only did they write them and put them down and record them, but then, let's put them on something that we'll give to the general public for them to listen to. They should have. They shouldn't have done that.
Let's give it to the general public within, packaged up within one of the greatest albums ever recorded. It is like getting, on Christmas Day, running down Christmas trees, loads of lovely things, and someone's given you a turd on a brick.
I was just thinking, a turd. I wasn't thinking on a brick. Why on a brick? Any particular reason why on a brick?
I mean, how
is it packaged?
How can you make a turd worse? You stick it on a brick. Happy Christmas, there you go. But it's okay because I've got an Etch-a-Sketch over there and a Ski Electric over there.
All right.
I'm not bothered about the turd on the brick. Something else I just want to touch on.
You've just alienated all the Gen Zers and millennials and whatever other words, crazy stupid words we come up with these days, because they'll won't know what an Etch-a-Sketch or a Ski Electric is. Sorry, viewers.
There were so many tens of thousands at the start of this podcast that at that moment would have gone, Etch-a-Sketch, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm out of here.
That's right.
Something I want to touch on is bad lyrics. I'm going to throw some bad lyrics at you. Now, again, this is from a list of bad lyrics. Is there such a thing as a bad lyric?
Done during extensive research again.
Extensive research using my research assistant, right? Google. So now we're going to start by going back to the worst song ever written. We Built This City on Rock and Roll by Starship. And the reason why I think this is a bad lyric, and the reason why it probably makes a bad song, is they haven't left enough. They haven't actually left enough space in the song to get the lyrics in. All right. Now, to exemplify the point, I'm going to sing the song. So, from memory. Okay. I mean, I've got it on every format, so I could actually just play it over here. It goes something like this: We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. They haven't left enough space to repeat the word "we" when they roll around the chorus again. Now that's just sloppy.
Or is it that they're not able to get the end of the building up tension and teasing you because you built this city on rock? What did you build it on? What could it possibly? Every time they go around, they don't get to the end of what they actually built it on. So just building up that. Oh, please tell me what you built it on.
I'm a sucker for teasing, Phil, as you know, and it doesn't work for me. So all I can say is, if you're going to write a lyric, make sure you've got enough space to get the lyric into, or you end up going, "We built this city." Rubbish. We're going to go back to another song that made its way into the top 10, which suggests that there might be another theme here between what makes a bad song as a bad lyric. Wang Chung. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. The lyric in the song is...
I'm not familiar with it.
Well, you don't need to be. The lyric is, Everybody Wang Chung tonight. The name of the band is Wang Chung. So
and is that a euphemism?
What they're saying there is that they're like, I think what they're saying is, our band is called Wang Chung, we want everyone to Wang Chung tonight. The world is going. We don't know how.
How did you get to that understanding?
Say that again.
How did you get to that level of understanding? Because that's like a level higher than I would have thought you were capable of.
Because I am 3 inches taller than you, Phil, so everything's a little bit higher. So it's like they're trying to, in my world, they're trying to launch their brand on the world by naming themselves in a song and describing it as a verb. Okay, what are you doing tonight, darling? I was going to watch a bit of Happy Valley. Fancy Wang Chung? I can't answer that question because I don't know what it is. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. And finally, bad lyrics, my favourite all time maybe, from Sex is on Fire. I forget who wrote it. It's terrible. Your sex is on fire with what's to transpire.
Yeah, that is truly, truly terrible and awful.
I'm just disappointed. It's like you can see when you can see the writing process through the mechanics of the creative venture, you're onto a bad thing. It's like, guys, what rhymes with fire? And it's not like a hard word to rhyme, like frigging banana. Do you know what I mean? It's like fire. You can rhyme, and someone's piped up in the corner, haven't they? Huh? Why not transpire? Oh, well, that's never been done before. How can we fit? And it's like you can just see the creative process like slowly gelling together with glacial pace in the minds of some idiots in a room and ending up with a dog dirt lyric like, I can't say it again. I can't say it again. I'm going to have to move things on. Right. I think we're nearly finishing. We've done half an hour, which is really good. I mean, where's your head at, Phil? In terms of, I mean, we've slagged off a lot of creative endeavour here, and we've nominally classified it all as being turd. Is there such a thing as a bad song, or is that just our opinion?
Yes, there are bad songs, and the fact that people have created them, that's fine, but they then shouldn't put them out into the world. Somebody should stop them.
Who would be that person?
Just anybody. I mean, take charge.
I mean, obviously, in the 1930s Germany, where you like to set yourself, that it would be the the Third Reich. But we don't want to live in. So yeah. I mean, without wanting to get all fascist about it. I mean, I agree. I think there are bad songs. I think the fact that some of the authors of the songs hate some of their output kind of proves the point. I think that songs that you hear all the time that are catchy, uplifting, that tell you how you should feel. Black Eyed Peas. Tonight's going to be a good night. No, it's not. I've just got divorced. I've lost my house. My boss wants to see me in the morning because of that email I sent out that accidentally copied everyone into with all of that stuff in it that I shouldn't have said. Tonight's not going to be a good night, Black Eyed Peas. Tonight's going to be really, really worrisome. And I don't want to listen to that song. So don't tell me how I should feel. So yeah, I agree. I'm going to propose that we fully bake this idea and take to the streets.
But I'll say, wasn't the premise that there are no bad songs? So in which case, it'd be the opposite of being baked.
Yeah, you're quite right. My ire got the better of me, and we're gonna throw the idea in the bin, aren't we?
We are. Yeah, there are some terrible songs, and they should also join the half-baked idea in that bin.
Absolutely right. Well, on that basis, it just leaves me to thank everyone for listening. I'm sorry if I've ostracised any members of the listening and viewing public by my reference to 1980s toys. But I just want to say, Phil, thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to Half Baked. We'll be back next week when we'll be discussing another Half Baked idea.
Thanks, Alistair. See ya. Bye.